So,
Okay.
you guys, on this spotlight, we are going to be highlighting filmmaker Cadell Cook and his new film, 4 Points. Cadell, thank you for joining us here on Black and Behind the Scenes. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Good, good. I know you personally know Antoinette.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. How do you guys know
Yeah.
each other?
We used to work at I don't know. Can we say the network? We used to.
No network names.
So you used to work somewhere together.
Yeah.
Okay.
Production. Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm also an audio mixer. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. So you recently have released your movie 4 Points, and you've been doing the film festival circuit. Can you tell us what your film is about? Give us a brief synopsis.
Yeah. Sure. It's about it's about four citizens that are selected to take part in this sort of game where they're selected by the new tech genius president. So I'm supposing that the next president of the United States is going to be really smart. Hoping. So anyway, he selects these four citizens, and they have to agree on these divisive topics in order to form his policy and win some money. Okay, so the catch is they have to wear these lie detector wristbands, so they can't agree just to win money. They have to actually convince each other on these divisive topics, because the president's platform was that he was going to use technology to better gather the public's opinion on things and to really make it part of his policy instead of just making up whatever he wants to do. So that's what it's about. It's about those four individuals clashing over these divisive topics, and we get to see how they interact and why they believe what they believe. You know.
Sounds very interesting. How did you come up with the concept for the film?
I it started as a writing exercise because I really enjoy challenges as a writer, and started. So the exercise was to make something in one location that was interesting and compelling, and it keeps the audience engaged. So it just started as an exercise, and then once I thought of the initial idea of using wristbands to tell the truth about divisive topics, I called my actors, and I wanted to make sure that I had the right actors in place first. So I wrote the characters to the actors according to what their natural strengths, as actors. So I wrote it for them specifically. Yeah. And then
So
it
you
sort of,
already knew who you had in mind that you wanted to play for each role.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. And in a way, that was part of my writing exercise, but it was really helpful at the level that I have, the amount of access that I have to actors at this level. It's best for me personally to write for the actor as an indie filmmaker. I haven't been able to get a true casting director yet.
Mm-hmm.
But for once I get to that level, maybe I work a little differently. But right at this point, it's good for me to know what actors in place before I dig deep into tightening up the storyline.
So I actually do have a question with Brittany, what you just asked about the film itself. Now, I did see the film, and I was really intrigued with how the wristbands and how they lit up within the story itself, and you were able to put it in the middle. And how did you coordinate that? Like, did someone develop that technology for you guys to be able to do that, or is this like a secret that you're not willing to give out? I'm curious about that. That's really cool.
I'm glad you noticed that. Yeah, I'm not. I'm happy to share because I like the community to grow. So again, that was the way that the lie detectors look is based on me creating it, thinking of production at the same time. So those lights are that's a practical effect.
Oh wow.
It's not CG. I have a little CG in there, but it's not for the lights. So it's a practical effect. It's basically it's me and my wife discussing how to do this. My wife and I. So she likes to decorate and design people's weddings, and she's really good at creating visual experiences and parties and stuff. So she knew about these waterproof lights that you can just buy off Amazon. So, and they have remote, come with a remote control, and you can control what color what color, you can change the color on the remote, and you can turn them on and off like that. So, so I had these lights, and then I sort of I glued them to these wristbands that come with those active watches that tell your heartbeat and all that kind of stuff, footsteps. So you have those replacement watch bands and those lights, and they're sort of just attached and together. And the lights change out with a remote off camera. I'm cueing them, because I know that, I'm cueing in the right part of the story. I've already set up which color they're going to be for each question, and then I just turn them on and off.
Oh, very cool.
That's awesome.
A little behind the curtain.
Exactly.
I hope it's still magical for people when they see it. Forget that I said that. But
I'm sure it will be. That's something that definitely caught my eye with that. I was like, how is he doing that? Like, how is this interconnected with each other? Like, how is it happening? That's really cool, though. And another question I did have, it's a double part, but where did you film the short at, and how did you get the permits for the locations and go through that whole process?
Permits. Well, again, thank you for that. Well, again, it's this was a writing exercise, and I wrote it for me to be able to film it. So it wasn't just on paper, because a lot of stuff that I write, I'm trying to get funding for, to do bigger content, a lot of locations. Again, this was one location, and I wrote it to be able to act. So this was a house that I had access to, so there was no permit involved.
Good, yeah.
It was just a house. There's no permit. This is my house. It's all right.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah. Well, usually, if you can see, once you see the film, you see that I tried to, even the drone shots at the beginning, they're in that neighborhood of the house.
Mm-hmm.
My DP, Zach David, he brought all his toys to the set, so the drone shots are in that neighborhood, and the story starts out front and it all happens inside. So it's me really taking advantage of this one location. And I wrote to that. So that's what I mean by having the production in mind at the beginning.
Yeah. That's
so I knew what I had to work with so that's why the wristbands seem so seamless. They don't seem forced, because I wrote them in after I learned how I could build them, and all that kind of stuff, and how I could do, so I did the production. I was thinking of post when I was in the pre, so that's why it feels seamless.
So a quick question for you, because I know you have worked on other films you have created yourself. Is this always your writing style to consider these things up front and then tailor your writing to fit that, or is this your first experience doing this type of style?
It's just I can write in both styles, because but it was just that I haven't been able to film the content that I haven't thought of production cost while creating it. I haven't been able to do that yet. So for instance, I have I started writing prose. So I have a novel called Weepers. And it's a sci-fi novel, and I want that story to become a film at some point, but because of sci-fi, it would have a lot of CG in it. So I haven't been able to work on that yet. I have other scripts that I've made that will require a bigger budget, but those are just kind of on the shelf waiting for someone to give me the go. But my other short films, again, I write with the production in mind. So I've done those, so I can work in both. I can write in both lanes,
You have an advantage over a lot of people in the industry, because some people, either you're the front focus of the writer and you don't have the, development and post-production kind of phase figured out, but you have like the whole spectrum and kind of the whole concept coming together within your writing style. So that's really unique and really cool that you're able to do that.
Yeah, thank you. And that is very helpful to be able to get stuff done, to be able to know post. Like writing's in the pre, and audio mixing is and sound design and stuff. That's what is my other job. That's in the post. So what sets me apart, that gets my story unique, that is a strength. But because I know the beginning and the ending, I'm not as strong in the middle. So the production is something that I'm still growing and learning the fundamentals and how to get better at executing things, on set. And that's why you asked about permits. I'm like, permits. It's like I understand them, and I've had to do them for some projects, but
right. I know that, yeah, that's one thing that can always either hold up a project and or scheduling of things. But when you do have a set location of whether you're filming in your own space, it's like something that opens up other opportunities for you to be able to focus on other things versus getting permits for this shot locations. Because I know when we live in the, the DC area, it's very difficult getting permits or shooting locations or access to really pretty much a lot of places. So that is why production is always either filmed in, LA or New York and things like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And that's why I really have learned to value producers. And I'm not the type of filmmaker that I'm never going to say I'm a writer, director, producer. Even if because I am very active in the producing role, I don't even want that credit because I want someone else to do that for us, because that is a stress that I'm not able to hold while writing and directing. I need help. Somebody do the paperwork. Yeah.
That's cool. I think that's a smart way of taking on your short films, because it saves you a lot of headache with production. I've worked for short filmmakers before, and they've had these grand ideas that they're going to shoot here, and there, and then we have to change the whole concept because we don't have access to we don't have access to a bar that will let us shoot in their location without paying $5,000 or paying however much they would have if they were closed, So I think that's interesting and something I'm gonna definitely jot down and keep note.
Yeah, right to what you have access to. And because I have an interest in sci-fi elements, it's like I have to, anytime I think of something that I want to film, I have to stop and think of how I'm going to execute it before I write it that way, So that's really the only way I can think when I want to do it myself. Like I got to think of the end, because the way that I write, I always think of the end of the story before I even start. So it's just kind of the same concept expanded. I have to think of the end of the project before I start, what I'm going to do with it.
And I've always heard that's the best way to start your stories, is always know what the ending is going to be prior to starting the actual the writing process. That's something that I'm looking into myself, but I haven't really fully started that. But that's smart that you're able to do that, and that because to know the ending of the story before even starting it. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and so this is something that I've learned in the past maybe year or two, that I absolutely need to know where the end of the story is before I get started. But I'm also absolutely open to that changing on the way when I get in the middle. Because, yeah, you have to be ready, because it's kind of, you treat it like it's a map to a destination. Like I know that I'm getting here. No, I'm driving to B. I'm at A, I'm driving to B. And in the middle, there's some twists and turns. Here's the map. This is what I plan on doing. But once you get in the middle, if there's like a traffic jam, you got to go, you have to call an audible, change it up a bit. And even still, when you're on the way, you might learn that we were going to B, but C is better. They have a better tacos there on Tuesday. So let's go to C instead. So once you get in the middle and you sort of learn about the journey, I have to be open to going somewhere else. But I just can't get started until I know where the plan is to go. Right. But the plan can change once you're in the middle there. So I don't know, everybody works differently. I've talked to people who feel hindered by an outline, and I don't get started without one.
Yeah, same. Yeah. Brittany, did you want to shoot?
No, I was just going to jump into the next question.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. So for the topics that the characters have to decide upon, they are topics where I guess they're universal. So was it intentional that all of your characters were African Americans instead of making them a more diverse cast?
Yeah, it was intentional. Let me see. How do I go into that without spoilers? Can I? Do I spoil it? I don't want to spoil. I want people. I want people to
Yeah,
go
don't
see the movie.
spoil.
Don't spoil it because we
Yeah,
want people to watch it.
We want people to watch.
Okay. Okay. It was intended for them to all be of African American descent. Mostly because of the first question and the way that it ends. So it was in the plot. I can't say why.
Okay. All right.
Go see the movie.
Okay, y'all. And so that is your cue right there to pause this and then go see the movie and then come back.
Whatever you got to do, go see it.
Go see it. Okay. All right. Well, we'll move on because we don't want to.
It's hard for me to get into that.
Yeah.
Without spoiling it.
I did find that interesting because I think it would have been just really easy to have the different characters of different backgrounds to portray that role, but the fact that you specifically selected African American people and male and female to represent those characters, that made it more interesting, in my opinion.
Yeah,
the outcomes and things. So I think I get where you were going with that one.
yeah, it was neat. Like I said, the way that it ends, it was needed to make another statement about how we view each other.
Exactly.
I can say this in a grand scale. I can back up from my specific story. One of the themes that I was trying to express in this is that it's dangerous for us as a population and as the system itself to look at African Americans as a myopic demographic, because to think that any race all thinks the same is just a limited point of view. It's just like you just don't know a lot, you don't know enough. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to create an environment where we could really dig into how people believe what they believe, but for a specific reason. Sometimes, you have life experiences, and it's just really ignorant to think that someone who was born with a tan, someone who is from African descent, they all think the same. That's just silly, and that's the truth about any race, because the concept of race is a human invention. It's not really a thing, but because race is we have different cultures, but the skin tone is not the culture. It's silly. So so kind of what I wanted to express, one of the themes I wanted to express was that people are different, and it's not based on your skin tone, and everyone with a skin tone is not the same. So that's kind of one of the reasons why they all had to be of the same, of African American.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go into, so how has been your experience with the film festival circuit?
Yes. So we got into I think I lost count. We got into a couple of online festivals, online only. They didn't have any, I didn't have an event, and we won some awards at those. And then we started to travel. So I went to 6 or 7 festivals so far. And I got to explore the whole gamut. I mean, like one of the more established ones, we went to the Martha's Vineyard African American Film Festival. That one is really big over there, and they invite a lot of the community. Well, they have a lot of the community. They come to the shows, and it is really unique to have like a huge theater, and to have the public. It's not just the other filmmakers. The public is viewing, and they're active in the process, and they just enjoy independent films. So that's a big one that has a lot of people, and there are others that there's only 2 or 3 people in the room, and they're the other filmmakers. So so that the experience that you want to share with an audience, that's one of the reasons why you want it on the big screen. It's an emotional roller coaster. Let's put it like that. But I have great times. I really enjoy the networking, and I enjoy meeting really creative other creatives in this field. That's something that you can't fake. Meeting people who have a passion for what you do. It's a big deal.
So I'm always interested in talking to filmmakers who independent filmmakers, when they create their films, what is their ultimate goal for the film? Is it to exclusively show it at film festivals and win as many awards as possible? Do you hope to put it on streaming platforms or bigger streaming platforms like Netflix or Amazon Prime? What is your ultimate goal for 4 Points that you would like for it to go in order to reach as many people as possible?
Initially, because of what I was reading about short films when we got started, initially I was just trying to make good content and to showcase that that I can be a good storyteller. Because at least in this industry, I'm sort of known as the audio guy. I've been working in post for 15 years. So, but I've been writing for almost 10 or so of those years. I'm trying to establish myself as a filmmaker, and I want people to be able to see my writing. And it's in this day and age, at least in my circles, it's difficult to convince people to read stuff on paper.
No, that's true.
So I'll spend months to a year writing a script, and even the people that work in the field, it's hard to get them to read a 90-page script. It's just difficult, So I got to the point where I'm like, okay, I just got to start filming stuff. So 4 Points was, I've done a few other shorts before, but 4 Points was the one that I was planning on saying, okay, I can tell interesting stories, just tell to let the industry know. So that was the initial goal. But in the process, I've learned that you can get stuff streamed, you can start to get some sort of money back. So after we hit the festival circuit, I started to look at how distribution would work for this project.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're on Curly TV, and we might get a few other things later on. But the initial goal was just to showcase that I can tell stories, guys. Let me do that. But now I want to, and after the film festival circuit, really talking to people. They're like, man, this needs to be a feature. It needs to make a part 2. And I'm like, okay, well, hold on.
I did think about that. I was like, well, this will be a good feature.
Yeah. So we might, there's a lot of might going on. we might expand it, but again, so honestly, I've been working on a part 2 and a 3, like 2 more shorts, but I don't have that completely fleshed out, so I can't really say that's what we're gonna do next. But because I can't say what the internet. So the way it lends to more. The story lends to more, and I wanted to sort of express what that could be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So are you a full-time filmmaker, or is this something that you're doing while also managing a full-time load? And if so, how are you managing creative, and then also, doing, because you're married and you have your own family, but you also have this that you're working on. So how do you manage all of these balls that you're trying to juggle?
Yeah, right. How do I do that?
Yeah. How do you do it?
Wow.
Wow.
Oh, I'm supposed to answer. I don't have I'm imbalanced. I'm not balanced.
Okay, well, are you a full-time filmmaker though?
No, well, I'd like to get to that point, but I still work in audio, in post. Okay. That's still the way we eat. But the balance that I've the key to the balance is having an understanding wife, and beyond that, she's like super supportive. So she really believes in what I'm trying to do. So it's not just that she's dealing with me. She's like actively saying, okay, go get it. I have a meeting. Okay, go to the meeting. Go. She's encouraging. So that's the key to not receiving guilt whenever you go do something. That's real. Yeah, we're a squad here. She's Tiffany is my ace. So that's the key. But secondly, in terms of time management, I have to treat writing and my filmmaking and learning about directing and expanding and my ideas and stuff. I have to treat that as if it's another job. So if I have to get up at 7 to get my day started, I wake up at 5:30, and in the morning I spend that time either writing or reading another screenplay or something, and so I have to treat it like it's another job in my preparation. So that's how I stay balanced and continuously moving forward. And even so, I make sure I do something every day. But then at the end of the day, if stuff winds down and I have some more time, then I'll spend more time at the evening. So the second part, the second element of being balanced, the first one is you gotta have an understanding lady, and then and the second one is always spend time in the morning with what you want to do. But the third one is don't ever sleep. That's terrible. That's terrible advice. Don't do that. But what I'm saying is, if you really have a passion for something, you'll want to always work on it. And I have to make myself take breaks because I enjoy telling stories. Like I said, I started writing a novel. I started by writing a novel. So I just enjoy the concept of creating stories. And like I also said, it's hard to convince people to read stuff on paper. So I made the novel, and now I'm making movies. Yeah, but the balance is about just saying, agreeing that, or acknowledging that I want my stories to see the light of day, and the only way to do that is for me to work on them.
Right.
So I have to treat it like it's a second job that will pay me sometime.
That's cool. Antoinette, you have a question?
Yeah, well, really the last one before we wrap is, where can people watch 4 Points now? You did mention it, but I want you to plug it again so our audience is aware that they can go watch it right now and stream it. So,
ladies and gentlemen, 4 Points is available on Quelly TV. So it's spelled KWELI.TV. You can search 4 Points there. That's the website, but they also have free apps on the Roku and the Amazon Fire Stick and Apple Store, and then the Android Store, all that. So there's apps that you can get, and then you can stream 4 Points there through Quelly TV. That's where we're available right now, and I really love that platform. So go check them out for other content too. That's where 4 Points is. 4 Points. You spell the number 4 and then points.
This was a great interview, so thank you.
Yes, it was. Thank you, Cadell, for your time. We really appreciate it, and your insight on your film 4 Points and sharing that with us and our audience. So we really appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, guys, and that will be it. Go ahead. We will have this up on YouTube for you as well as Instagram TV. So check out 4 Points as well as Black and Behind the Scenes, and we'll see you next time. I'm Antoinette.
And I'm Brittany.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.